is for entertainment purposes only, not to be taken as legal advice. Today marks another day in our journey forward to our learning as it deals with processes. We will continue today's lesson from the American Remedy document by Patrick Devine discussing the 1099A, B, C, and OID. This is a continuation of the series, the part 2 of it, where we'll be covering the document or essay, Learn Your ABCs by Patrick Devine. It is important to note that while I'm your guide in this course, I am not the originator of this information. The insights we will explore have been brought to light by many great gurus, including Patrick Devine. His tireless research and dedication led him to uncover a remedy for freeing oneself from the monetary system. After 9 years and over 5,560 documents, essays, and submissions to various governmental entities, Patrick Devine discovered the key to liberation in 2016. Then he disappeared and said, now it's up to you to set yourselves free. This live course with 100 students will cover the continuation of the processes of Patrick Devine, as well as information from others who helped him along the way. Let's begin. This is an exciting class today. I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to do it in 2 parts before we jump into Learn the ABCs document essay of the 1099 A, B, C, and OID and how Patrick Devine utilized them and discussed the importance of them. I'm going to go back in a little trip of memory lane on where it is that I first came from in my humble beginnings, being in the healthcare field, and what my original vision and passion was for the healthcare industry. The reason why I'm going to bring this up is just to go ahead and make it a point that it's important to have a vision. It's important to have a plan of action on how you're going to give back to not only your family, but to the others in your community. Years ago, when I graduated nursing school and all of that, I remember, sitting inside a lot of patients' rooms at hospitals, long-term care facilities, home health houses, and so on. And, you see a lot of people's personal life really up close, especially with my specialty, which was geriatrics. So in that geriatrics, you see all the internal feuds of family members and relationships with father, mothers, sons, and daughters, different estates and who's getting what inside of the will, and even live arguments inside of the hospital rooms. And I just remember, sitting down there thinking so many things as I went through my career for home health, as I traveled to 7 different states. I was kind of doing some travel nursing during that time. And then I came back to Washington State, and where I said I'm going to permanently live, which my mama was ecstatic about. And she was like, my baby's back. It's been 7 years. And I was like, I know. So I came back and I said, well, am I going to keep on doing home health? What do I want to do? So I decided to start my own home health agency. So I started it here in Washington. It was a skilled nursing agency. And I specifically did it for the home health industry since I was already well familiar. But let me tell you, it was a wake-up call to go from an employee who worked in the healthcare industry to an individual that now owns his own home healthcare business. And let me tell you, just because you work into the industry does not teach you how to run a business in the healthcare industry. A lot like a lot of Restaurant Impossible or Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, when he asked, what restaurant experience do you have? And I was like, I was a cook. I was a waiter. Not much there. Well, anyways, I got a lot done. I remember I had a nurse, I had nurses, I had physical therapists, I had plenty of CNAs. I served the greater King County area here in Seattle. And I did home health agency everywhere, and that I could, and that I had staff. But really what the issue is in America as it relates to the healthcare system is we are in what's called a caregiver crisis. It's a very huge crisis. There's not enough caregivers available for the patients that need them. And in addition to that, it's skyrocketing in the price. I remember for an hour that I would charge one of my clients, it would be $60 per hour for a CNA. And that made it really difficult because when you send the CNA over to the patient's house to go ahead and service them, about 25% in the industry standard of what a CNA does in the household of a patient is actual hands-on care. That means making a meal, bringing them to a shower, helping dress them, bringing them to doctor's appointments, and so on. And then the rest of the 75% of the time was what? The caregiver sitting there on their phone, texting away, waiting for them to be needed. And the unfortunate part is while the caregiver is sitting there on the phone, waiting for the patient to need something, I mean, there's a ton of other patients that were out in home health who could have used their services at their time. So the question is how do I make healthcare more efficient, effective, and better quality for my patients? And which really went into my mission, which is how do I solve the healthcare crisis? Also, how do I make myself different in an industry that's so saturated as a home healthcare agency? So my humble beginnings started with a vision. It was a very big vision. It hasn't been done before. I started with a robotics lab in California called Omni Labs. And Omni Labs, I went to them because I said, hey, I have a patient that's up in the middle of the night and they might fall on the floor or move into another room. And, one of my virtual telehealth services, I did a deal with T-Mobile and put tablets inside of people's houses for virtual telehealth nursing. And I used my international recruiting and staffing to do that. But the problem is the tablet doesn't move. So what we did was, with our partnership with Omni Labs, is we came up with an innovative solution to go ahead and remedy that. And I want to share with you our commercial at that time. This is the Omni Labs robot. It had a 4K camera, a high capacity battery, and had no required needs for any wiring. It can go in and out of rooms. It had a speaker built into it, a wireless charger. It can go ahead and interact with your healthcare physician and be able to monitor from any computer, tablet, or smartphone. It allowed anybody from anywhere across the country or the world to follow along with patients and give back to their local communities. Even though that we're remote, we want to be right next to you in any way possible. Here at UJAC Care, we do the absolute best to give you and your family the companion robot that's
UJCare.com. Less effort, better results.
So that was the kind of start, and that was really fun. And it just kind of really blew up from there. And then that's where I got into my innovative staffing solutions, where things really started to get. I got a lot of notice and notoriety for that, and I got invited to a lot of events. Well, the Puyallup Fair was a huge aspect for me, where I was invited to do a live presentation. So I wanted to give some human aspect to the robot itself. So I went ahead and did a little presentation piece, which is one right here. I dressed up in my best cowboy outfit.
Everybody, and welcome to the Puyallup Fair. Welcome to Cars, Coffee, and Carry Robots. We're going to connect with everybody here in the greater Puyallup area as we go ahead and get to know these amazing businesses at the Washington State Fair. The Washington State Fair has 1 million visitors every single time that they do their whole month-long fair, and we're going to go ahead and meet some interesting people as we get to talk to them about, you guessed it, cars, coffee, and carry robots. And what we're going to do is we're going to find out what people think about the future. What do you think about that, you, Jack? Are you on for the road? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started with our adventure with our first set of interviews. I hope you enjoy yourself. Please click below for the subscribe and the notification button, and we'll see you on the other side.
Oh man, that was super exciting. Oh my gosh, that really brings.
Okay, Paul, Michael, that was good.
I know. I still got my cowboy hat and the little
Amazing.
amazing, right?
We have the liquidator, we have the terminator, and now we have the medicator.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so it was really a fun journey, and it just kept on going on from there. The robot just took off, and I was able to put these in a lot of long-term care centers to go ahead and monitor around. I put it inside of patients' houses. I put a virtual telehealth network of remote registered nurses in other countries that were in Venezuela, India, the Philippines, and so on, to control the robots. Then I was able to go to the next level with it, which was really passionate about me, is patients being stuck inside of their bodies, you know, that were immobile. And their immobility of their bodies was hugely suffering to them, because there's a big world out there, and they felt like that they were missing out on all the things that they could be experiencing. So what we did next was we went ahead and paired the robot and did a live demonstration of this. And I said, if kids like it, then I will be all for it as well, and especially our patients. So I paired the robot with the virtual assistant, and I connected it to a VR headset.
Do you see a start button right in front of you? Yes. Go ahead and aim that little dot within the start button. Oh my gosh, my friend, I bet you're doing really great. Is it starting for you? Yeah. Oh, this is great. Now, this is what we do for our senior citizens through our robotics program. Virus control, all of it. So what we do is each one of our robots, through our tablets and our phones, can do virtual reality experiences with anybody from around the world. Our robot or our people that we put behind the robot can go ahead and connect with you. All you need to do is put the headset on, and now you get to say, I want to go to Machu Picchu. I want to go to Paris. I want to go on a speed race ride. And the robot will control the experience. And all you need to do is connect and talk to it and do it. Have you ever done a virtual reality experience before? Oh, it's super fun. Oh my gosh. I get a little queasy on roller coaster. You know what I mean? And I love the golf fair because you can drop down on it really big. And it's that falling ceiling that I'm scared of. So this is like my baby testing with the roller coasters on the virtual reality. Do you like rides? Yes, I know. They're super fun.
Oh, my salesmanship during that time. But that was really special, because we were able to go ahead and make unique experiences for senior citizens. And not only that, but we tied into Google Maps. Google Maps gave us the ability to go ahead and give a virtual experience based off of the mapping and pictures that they had in their local neighborhood. So what we would do is we'd have people tell us stories, you know, senior citizens, and I would ask them, I'd be like, hey, where are you from? Where did you live? And they would say, oh, I'm from Scotland, or hey, I'm from Australia, or hey, I'm from the deep South, or whatever. And I said, what is your address? And what I would do is I'd connect the Google Maps into the headset, and I would literally be able to take them to the front door of their childhood house. And she'd say, can you tell me a story about how it is that you lived and where you grew up? When I would record the story that they were telling in the virtual reality headset, while the robot would record them talking and giving the experience. We had a 2-screen kind of outline, and we recorded that into what we called a time capsule. A time capsule was all the recordings of the senior citizens and their experiences and stories. And then when the loved one would pass on, we would give the time capsule to the family. And then that would be their memory of all the things and stories and experiences that they maybe heard 100 times before. But, you know, it gave it another special, you know, edge to it because we had the visual references. This then led me into my staffing solutions with our technology, because people saw that I was really into the robotics field. And they said, "Paul Michael, you know, what else can you do? You know, what is the next thing?" And I said, "Well, man, what we need, I mean, really, we're in a healthcare crisis. And one of the ways that I want to help solve the healthcare crisis is to go ahead and have innovative staffing solutions." And so that when it got involved with promoting healthcare agencies, doing really professional videos and stuff like that to promote hospitals, long-term care centers and whatnot. So we had my first international recruiting and staffing agency, which was Innovative Staffing Solutions. Innovative Staffing Solutions is I started with businesses, and we would go ahead and do the recording via drone. And that looks like this. Maybe there's sound. Maybe not on this one. So yeah, we would take the drone and we would go ahead and just be like, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to go ahead and utilize drones for not only the advertisements and the videos of these healthcare facilities and whatnot, but there was actually a bigger agenda and plan. And really what I did with this presentation piece was to start the conversation for something that I thought with the partnership of Amazon was going to be really innovative. As you can see, we're getting tight shots and whatever. Some of these are drone, some of these are handheld, I will tell you that, but most of it's drone technology that we're doing. And I had an expert drone flyer go ahead and do that. But our purpose and intention was with our drone project is to deal with the biggest issue inside of home health agencies' houses, which is stairs. Stairs was a really difficult thing to overcome with our robots. And so Amazon, and with their partnership with Ring, had a drone that they were coming out with that we were able to get kind of beta testing to actually fly the drone throughout the house to check on the patients. So yeah, so that it just kept going, man. It kept going. Well, then I started that. Then my phone started ringing off the hook, and people are just like, "What? You're doing this for the healthcare? You're making it cheap." I was able to make virtual assistants, which would be nurses or people to watch patients in their homes, as low as $5 per hour. So now we made it cost effective. So they were able to do 75% of the job for the patients that the caregiver would do for companionship, but now didn't have to be there for. So instead of being on the phone, they could go off to their next patient. I tapped into DoorDash, Uber, and Instacart, and a couple other major platforms like obviously Zoom, because that was our telecommunications. But I tapped into that, and the virtual assistants, I had a business account. And so anytime that the patient wanted a meal or groceries or to be picked up and dropped off at the hospital, now they could just ask our virtual assistant, and on our accounts, we would go ahead and schedule it. And we would say, hey, here's the nearby restaurants. What do you want? And have somebody read off the menu to the patient. We were able to schedule an Uber to go ahead and bring him to the hospital and back, just all remotely. And these people are all over the world. And it was just amazing. And I had people in other countries, and I would go in and I would say, hey, is anybody a singer internationally? And And, you know, with the virtual option, I can now switch out music artists, book readers, and anything like that for seniors. So that was really great and very innovative. Then I would say that, you know, it really started to go a little crazy when I was asked to do weddings. My old profession was I was a videographer for weddings a long time ago. And so what we would do is we would shoot all the shots at the wedding and let it dance. Oh, that was such a fun time. Oh, that was so cool. So we got it from both angles, a virtual videographer. So we had a videographer on the other end controlling it, zooming in, zooming out to get the wedding shots and all. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, we were getting phone calls left and right and all of that. So yeah, so I have the virtual world, you know, and international recruiting and staffing is really close to my heart on what my vision and mission was for healthcare, you know, and it still is today. I use an international network to help me run Creditor Academy. I like to keep on growing my vision, and I would love to get back into the healthcare world all over again, because I still have a passion about solving the healthcare crisis. And then I did the licensing for all 50 states. I had attorneys to go ahead and do all the licensing. I would love to go ahead and get back into that. But I feel like my calling at Creditor Academy is really the catapult, not only to just one vision and mission, but now to many, because I get to work with so many of you business owners on your vision and mission, and I want to be a part of it too. I'm not a professional, but I want to be a part in helping building that team. My resources of the international recruiting and staffing are open to all. You know, I realize how, you know, binding it is to start a business with very limited resources and really very limited finances. So the fact for, you know, just a couple $1,000s a month, you can get a staff of 6 to 10 full-time people with master's degrees from anywhere in the world is just a game changer when it comes to professionalism and catapulting yourself in business with a great advantage. So anyways, I just wanted to share with that just a little bit more about Paul Michael, and so you can kind of know where I started and kind of how I got into this. And, you know, if anybody's in healthcare and wants to kind of share with me that vision again, I have kind of a plug and play on how to make that all come back and whatnot. But I do want to get back to that at a later time. Okay, well, without further ado, we will get into the rest of today's lesson, which is Learn the ABCs by Patrick Devine. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay. Learn the ABCs. This is a document written by Patrick Devine, and it's related to the American Remedy document that we read last time. I don't know if this is the first document or the continuation. Well, it's got to be the continuation, because I guess he started with that first. So this would be the second document that pairs with the American Remedy document. And this was, I believe, written and published in 2009. And its title, Patrick Devine titled it, Learn the ABCs. But they have been performed in the reverse order. Most of the time, CBA. When a contract has been signed as per Our Father, then you can have your cap and gown for the 1099 CAP and Form 8806. Also read the American Remedy document. The deceivers will put the truth right in front of you in a twisted format, knowing you will not look below the surface to see the real truth. The very first item you is to understand on your 18th birthday, or if you were given a Social Security assessing trust after you were 18 years old, that was the date that you were assigned to be the executor. But you still needed to do an IRS Form 56 and complete Part 2 authority under line 1C to become the sole controlling fiduciary over the valid Social Security accessing trust account, which is over your American and state FIDE commissionaries. They are your vassals, and you are the real creditor and holder of the FIDE commissionaries. You have been letting a lot of other people have fiduciary access to your FIDE commissionaries. It is time to wake up and stop them before they destroy you and the country. Stop playing the game of saying, come see what I have with your boastfulness. Open up your eyes and look to your backside, and you will find someone with a knife in your back taking your money out of your pocket. The money changers, corporate governments, and the religious deceivers. We can do these following forms. The first form is the 1099-A as an initial transaction acquisition. It is to be direct exchange of real assets from your FIDE commissionary account for something of real value. Under Block 5 is to be marked no. 1099-A is to claim the abandoned secured property under Block 5. It is to be marked yes, that they now have, which really now belongs or is owed back to us. Reread what it is said on the letter. It never says it in true bill owed by us. They are the ones that owe the tax, penalty, and interest to us for the usage of our assets and our FIDE commissionaries. 1099-A, but if a settlement is after the 3-year settlement time frame, then you still have to do the 1099-C and maybe a 1040-V. And then the 1099-A to claim the tenant's usage fee as it is now an abandoned of secured party. But it is still a liability of the debtor tenant to make the set-off payments. Block 5 is to be marked yes. 1099-C is to cancel the debt on the books that is owed to you as the creditor, shareholder, owner of the corporations by your corporate debtors. If it was due to a purchase, you have to do a 1099-A and release your secured party to offset the transaction. For taxes, do a 1099-C to cancel the debt they owe us on their books. Then we do a 1040 income tax return, which is owed to us. For the corporate United States, I would check box 5, yes, and mark box 6 for them being in bankruptcy. They have to supply these forms to us, or it is a tax violation, 3949A them. We cannot file our tax returns until we get them because the tax is owed to us. The 1099-B is the bartering dry exchange conversion into wagering money systems of exchange. The FRNs that you receive has to be offset in withholding taxes claimed for returned to you because they are the payers or tenants, and that is to be your payment in real money or the usage fee that they have to be paid to the creditor. These need to be listed on the 1040 for return at the end of the year. Guess what? It is just what the form says, a tax return to you. The 1099 OID is the original discount from the wagering monetary exchange transaction in the form of interest due us. The 1040-V is a negative payment voucher, needs to be submitted with the 1040-V or the 1040 tax return form to get paid faster. The 1099 CAP and Form 8806 is the transferring of your American and or your state, or maybe even your county, FIDE commissionaries into your new corporate controlled private living trust under a 98 series EIN tax withholding exempt number. You will operate as the exchanger of real assets outside the control of the money changers. The two CID addresses to send a 3949A form for your taxing monetary complaints are the following: the Department of Treasury in Covington, KY, and San Francisco, CA. All right, let's get to the setup here. This is a nice visual reference of how we got into this situation. The first part of the setup is your initial contracts with the money changer. You signed a purchasing contract. Again, you signed anything that you sign, you are creating the credits for that signature on the contract. A check, credit card, receipt, loan, or mortgage, it is called a dry exchange under the wager betting contract. You always signed on the right-hand side of the contract or check. You are the creditor and they are the debtor, always. The wager or bet is that you will not settle a property within the 3 years required, with real assets proving you are in total control instead of being controlled. All right, so there's the setup right there. You're signing the contracts for the dry exchange where we're getting yourself into a betting contract, and this is your 3-year time frame on whether you're going to settle the account or not. You get 1 Federal Reserve note for every dollar value. The bank chartering or origination and the Federal Reserve System gets 9 Federal Reserve notes for each dollar value. This is why the final process, Patrick Devine looked into the performance and the payment bonds as surety bonds and how they were able to duplicate from 1 Federal Reserve note into 9. Your only way out is to correct the money changer's deceptive contracts by cross actions. The Form 56, you as the sole fiduciary under your authority, as you are the executor when you turned 18 or after when you signed the SS contract. Initially, you could have done a 1099A as an acquisition from your American or state FIDE commissionary by way of the SS Trust Access account. But you contracted with the money changers. Now you need to do a 1099C, 1040V, and 1099A to cancel the debt and then to turn over your real dollar value assets, as you are now abandoning that amount of secured property to them for what you purchased. So the above dry exchangers is under a wagering contract of 3 years max, but can be settled with a 1099C, 1040V, and a 1099A to convert it into a real dollar settlement from your FIDE commissionary. The first step of M1, the money supply, is the amount of wagering money Federal Reserve notes in circulation during the first year of the contract per September reporting. M2 is the amount of wagering money Federal Reserve notes in circulation during the second of the year of the contract per September reporting. And M3 is the third year of the contract. There is no M4. And why is that? All wagering contracts were settled per your FIDE commissionary. So this is why there's no continuation. They have to, by law, settle the wagering contract after 3 years. This can only be done in one way, and that is to remove from your American or state FIDE commissionary the amount of your secured property that is need to set off and settle the purchasing contract. Use the 3949A to find out for sure. Now let's get into the fraud. The initial contracts with you were not set up on the 3-year settlement time frame, but instead on a 5, 10, 15, 20, and 30-year contract. And in some cases, they may even be for your lifetime. Example is an insurance contract. And this is the fraud of the contract. It only proves that you are in control and not you. Like you what to think you are, because you are still paying for something that has already been settled from your account. You are still paying even though the real settlement has already taken place. But you did not know how to call their bluff. But you had better have the cards of understanding to support your calling of their bluff. You need the correct Form 56 in place. Your cross actions under the 1099-C, 1040-Vs, and 1099-As if needed. Plus the trump card, which is the 3949A to the CID. Because you're at the poker table all alone, and they are all helping each other to take you to the cleaners. Now go wake up and come out of her, for your greatest power is the true knowledge and understanding, because it is founded upon real law. So let's go through some examples. I like an example when it is given. So the example that's given by Patrick is a $100,000 mortgage for 30 years. You signed the contract. Number two, the bank or the other entity by way of the bank gives you $100,000 in Federal Reserve notes. What just happened is that the bank took the contract along with its chartering organization and the Federal Reserve System and made up 1 million Federal Reserve notes. They gave you 100,000 and then used the rest of it gave the rest of it to the money system to cause inflation, a banker's tax upon you and everyone else. It is under a wagering system of betting that you will not settle the contract in 3 years' time with real asset value because you do not believe or know that you have it at your disposal, held in a trust with your name on it. The 3-year wagering contract. First section. The signature starts a 3-year wagering contract. The local bank, chartering organization, and the Federal Reserve System place a secret lien against your FIDE commissionary account as a debt. They are now the debtor. You receive 1 Federal Reserve note for each of the dollar value of your signature. They receive 9 Federal Reserve notes plus the usage of the secret lien to write bonds. These secret liens leads to your FIDE commissionary account that you share of the assets of the country. You receive the Federal Reserve notes for your dollar on your signature when you bought the item thinking it was fully paid for, but it is not until the 3 years is up. Their 9-time return is the 9 Federal Reserve notes put into circulation that causes a banker's tax called inflation. And then they write bonds initially. It was only to be 10, but now it could be as high as 30. Then they paid real interest on the bonds. Then the full value of the contract paid in full from the bond interest after the 3 years. Then a 0.375 per bond for the usage fee to be paid to your FIDE commissionary. And then all the extra interest of the big 3 keep and split up among themselves. They are required after the 3 years of wagering contract to remove the 10 Federal Reserve notes that were placed into the service by the wage, but have they or are they using them to destroy other world economies? That's a big question. Maybe, maybe not. Most likely is. Letter you receive. Do they ever say anywhere that this is a bill? They can't. That would be against the law. They just imply it and you assume it. It may say, oh, but I believe it is meant to be owlty. It is an adjustment of the books of which you need to do a 1099-C and cancel or offset the debt they owe to settle the wagering bet money conversion back into real value. When the process is coming through the Social Security controlling trust account, claiming the return per the 1040. The 1040 is the tax return. It needs to be submitted every time you want a certain amount returned to you or get it all back at the end of the year. It is either your initial or amended return until the year of year 1. Only fill in the info that is really required. 95% is not the way I see it. Only lines 61, 71, 72, and 73A, the way I see it. Line 61 is the total of the amounts of line 2 of the 1099A and the withholdings on the other 1099 forms as the return payments that are due to be paid to you. Also submit a 1040V as a negative payment voucher when you want paid with the 1040 tax return. Initial acquisition with no wagering contract. The 1099A is you as the fiduciary are the lender, and they are a borrower. Now, as an initial transaction acquisition, it is to be direct exchange of real assets from your FIDE commissionary account for something of real value. Block 2 and 4 should be the same, the amount to be drawn from your FIDE commissionary account. Block 5 is to be marked no. Before the 3 years of a wagering contract has been completed, have your 1099-C. You, as the fiduciary, are the creditor, and they are the debtor. Block 2 should be the amount that you have paid in, and Block 3 is the amount of interest contained in Block 2. Block 5 is marked yes, and Block 7 is the original property value. This way, the difference in the funds identified between Block 2 and 7 now becomes the amount of secured property that you owe from your FIDE commissionary account with the 1099A. A 1099A has you as the fiduciary or the lender, and they are the borrower. Now, as an abandonment of secured property, it is to be a claim of real asset from your FIDE commissionary account for something of real value. Block 2 should be the amount that you still owe to be drawn from your FIDE commissionary account, and Block 4 should be the original property value. Block 5 is to be marked no. After 3 years of a wagering contract, so this is after, remember, after 3 years, a 1099-C, you as the fiduciary are the creditor, and they are the debtor. Under Block 2 should be the original purchase amount plus the amount that you have paid in. Block 3 is the amount of interest contained in Block 2. Block 5 is marked yes, and Block 7 is the original property value. This way, the difference in the funds identified between Block 2 and 7 now becomes the amount of their abandoned secured property that you have to claim back with a 1099A. The 1099A, you as the fiduciary are the lender, and they are the borrower. Now it is an abandonment of secured property they hold. You have to claim the amount, that amount of real assets that you paid in. Block 2 should be the amount that you have paid in to be drawn from the borrower's account, and 4 should be the original property value, and Block 5 is to be marked yes. The 1040V is a negative payment voucher when you want paid by submitting the 1040 tax return. For state taxes, per the OWLT claim by the state corporation, you may have to use a state 1040V form, the 1099-C, and a 1099-A. When the process is for the transfer or claim by your 98 series trust account, this is your foreign grantor trust, claim for return or transfer is to be per the 1041 forms when you want assets transferred or at the end of the year. Check the address if it's different than the 1040. Need to file a Form 56 as the fiduciary over your 98 series living trust as the executor beneficial owner. Initial acquisition transfer with no wagering contract. This is a 1099-A. You, as the fiduciary over your Social Security, accessing your trust to your FIDE commissionary, are the lender. You are the 98 series living trust or beneficial owner. It is to be the borrower now as the initial transaction. Acquisition is to be the direct exchange transfer of real assets from your FIDE commissionary account for something of real value. Block 2 and 4 should be the same. The amount to be drawn from your FIDE commissionary account, Block 5, is to be marked no. File a 1041-T to transfer the amount in Block 2 of the 1099-A to you, the trust beneficiary. The living trust has to complete the transfer by submitting a 1041 return. It is either your initial or amended return until the end of the year. Only fill in the info that is really required. 95% of it is not the way I see it. Line 24A. Now, this is getting more into the 1041 return. Line 24A is 0. B is the amount you had in the 1040T. 24C will be the negative amount of line 24B. 24D is 0. 24E is the amount of block 2 of 1099A. And 25 to 29 should be 0 the way he sees it. And finally, line 24 is the total of amounts on lines 2 of the 1099A forms. This is the return payments that are due to be paid to you. The two methods for an acquisition purchase. First method is the initial acquisition purchase with no wagering contract from the SS Accessing Trust account. For this, you're going to need a 1099-A because you are the fiduciary over the Social Security Accessing Trust to your FIDE commissionary. Are the lender as the purchaser of the acquisition, and they are the person or company or the seller of the acquisition as the borrower. Now, as an initial transaction, acquisition is to be a direct exchange transfer of real assets from your FIDE commissionary account for something of real value. Block 2 and 4 should be the same. The amount to be drawn from your FIDE commissionary account. Block 5 is to be marked no. They get copy B and they have to file a return to get money transferred. They have to claim it on their tax returns to have the money transferred to them. So this is why they get a copy B, because that's for the borrower, and they submit this, because they need to report it on their taxes. The second method is the initial acquisition purchase with no wagering contract by your 98 series living trust account. You'll need a 1099-A. You as the fiduciary over your 98 series living trust are the lender. And the person or company you are doing the acquisition from is the borrower. Now, as an initial transaction acquisition, it is to be the direct exchange transfer of real assets from your FIDE commissionary account for something of real value. Block 2 will be 0 because gave full amount. Block 4 will be the purchase price. And block 5 is to be marked no. They get a copy B and they have to file a return to get the money transferred. They have to declare it on their tax returns. But you have to record it and file it on your yearly 3520 form, even if you don't need to file a 1041. Amazing. That was Patrick Devine and Learn Your ABCs. Patrick Devine, historically, is this is the process he is famous for. I remember listening to some of his recordings, like, "Hey, I'm teaching you the 1099 ain't worth no shit, man." I was like, okay. Have another smoke break. See you. You should need your 1099. My Christmas to you.
I love Mr.
So
Magoo. I think Mr. Magoo's so cool.
I know, is he funny? I know it. So yeah, so there's the 1099s. We have not gone over the actual documents. What you heard in this presentation is different circumstances on how it would, on how to acquire or purchase a new property or vehicle without a wagering contract, and how to get reimbursements, and how to file these taxes with your 1040s, and how to also use a voucher. I may next time go into the actual forms themselves just to kind of take a peek. I don't like getting too much into the 1099s. Again, my purpose to you in teaching you about all of these processes is for you not to be obsessed with doing a certain process a certain way. Everybody has different circumstances, so results do vary. So really what I am asking everybody to always do is just be prepared, get yourself organized with a good business plan on how you're going to incorporate a 1099 process, an administrative process, a notary protest, a bill of exchange, a promissory note, whatever your process is going to be, and have preparations for the execution, but make sure it aligns secondly with your vision on what you're trying to accomplish. Truly, I tell you, for those who, just like me in my healthcare industry background, if you lack vision, you lack direction. And sometimes we think, well, if I just charge the house or the car or whatnot, blah, 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 then I'll be able to get over this or get the stress off of my life. And I'm here to tell you, it is not true. I know that it sounds great. Hey, I went ahead and had this debt go ahead and relieved from me. But how are you going to use the debt that you just relieved yourself from into commerce? Because it's by which we go into commerce that we circulate these funds, these Federal Reserve notes, these promissory notes, these negotiable bills of exchange, these contracts. If you're in the circulation of commerce, that's what makes everything function in society. So don't think of it as like, hey, I'm going to be sipping margaritas on the beaches of Hawaii. You absolutely can, but do it through commerce using private processes to catapult you for your public business transactions. I hope that makes sense. I will now take questions, and let's start with Amicus. Amicus. Amicus.
Hi,
Amazing.
Michael. Sorry about the delay. I have a question in relation. I might have to actually, I had it on the tip of my tongue. I might have to come back, unfortunately.
Okay.
I got caught out with all that delay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
not a problem. Totally fine. Great. No other questions? Tech control. Let's go to you.
Hey, but Michael, I just want to ask, so the foreign grant of trust EIN that the IRS create, they technically own that, right? When they
Yes, they own it, but they created it for your benefit and it's under your control. But you're right, the IRS does own all EIN numbers, but we control them.
Right. So the only connection you have then to the IRS is via that EIN.
That's it. That's
In the
it.
public.
And for tax reporting purposes.
Right. Got it. Cool.
Yes, not a problem. Drexel Jones, let's go to you.
All right, man. Hey, listen, quick question about the 1099-A.
Okay.
Since we're classified as the lender, and the alleged lender is classified as the borrower, do we use our private individual banker's EIN number as our account number, or the taxing number on the 1099-A is what I'm referring to?
Yeah, the 1099-A. Okay, give me a second. And this is for which situation? Initial acquisition with no wagering contract?
This will be initial acquisition. I'm sorry, not initial acquisition, but abandonment. The abandonment.
Got you.
Let's say the mortgage company says, okay, well, hey, we foreclosed on your property and it was worth this amount of money, and You know, they actually, as a financial institution, would have to send in that 1099-A for abandonment,
Right.
as an operation of law.
Right. And you're saying if this is for the settlement after the 3 years,
That's
settlement
correct.
frame? Okay.
Yes.
So then you still have to do a 1099-C and,
Okay.
and maybe even a 1040-V. And then you got to do the 1099-A, but then you have to claim it under the tenant's usage fee, because now, like you said, it's now abandonment of the secured property. But remember, it is still, because it's over the 3 years, it's still a liability of the debtor or tenant to make the set-off payments. And that's why in Block 5, it's marked yes.
Right. But in this case, they are the tenant, or they are the borrower.
Yes, right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
they're
the debtor. Yeah, right. The debtor and the tenant. Mm-hmm.
Now, if they submitted something before we do, we have to go in and correct what they have filed with the IRS. If they labeled us as the tenant, in this case, right, and themselves as a lender, we would have to go in and reverse that and send that in to the IRS.
No, because that's not how the initial contracts with the money changers happen. Because once you signed a purchase contract with a check, a credit card, a loan, or a mortgage, then they did the wagering betting contract against you. And they said that you, the creditor, and have 3 years with real assets, have to prove that you're in total control instead of being controlled. But they're always the debtor.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why by them wagering, they could multiply the one Federal Reserve note dollar that you're trying to get out of the contract to fulfill whatever mortgage value it is, for them to create it 9 times over. You can't create money out of thin air unless you are a creditor, and that's why they use your standing to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about highway robbery.
Highway robbery, man. Exactly. And yeah, and the only way out is to correct the money changers contracts. So that's why the Form 56 will put you as the sole fiduciary, as you as the executor, because you're over the age of 18. And then you do a 1099-A as an acquisition by way of the SS Trust Accessing Account. Well, what's the SS Trust Accessing Account? That's your SSN number. So yeah, so that's it. But you can settle the 3-year max contract with the 1099-C, the 1040-V, and the 1099-A.
Got it.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, brother.
No problem. Happy to do it. Lou Fern, let's go to you.
Hello, Paul Michael.
Hey there.
So December, I bought in 2021. December is going to be my 3rd year.
Is it?
Yeah, can I squeak it in?
Go for it.
So in terms of negotiating with Creditor Academy, am I looking for an attorney, an employee, an advisor? Because we had talked about I want to look at land acquisition, like only paying off my mortgage, but buying a new property. I'm not sure how that gets set up, because I don't know how to ask for what I want. I don't know
everything's through commerce. So you got to set yourself in commerce. And this is why the back office is so important. And not only for you or for me as well. Like, let's just talk about regular business for a moment. In regular business, in order for us to acquire property, purchase assets, sell assets, sign contracts, create contracts, do negotiations, ship things, receive things, post office stickers, all of that. It involves other people. That's all it is it just involves other people with different intentions, different negotiations under different circumstances, different jurisdictions. What we do is we set you up with a team that's able to deal with these different layers of people that you have to go through, because we all have to go through. I can't buy a car without a salesman. So the question is, how do I deal with the salesman when it comes to the 1099 process? Hey, if the salesman at a car dealership different than a bank that's going to give me a loan? Well, it's still contracts, but depending on the bank that you're dealing with and what's written in the contract, you may have to do it, settle the debt in a different way. So these are the nuances of everybody's situation that's so different on why you should have professionals look at the situation and deal with it appropriately with the appropriate process.
So do I just, because I already had Yolanda write me back about the employee, but again, should I just say, this is what I want to accomplish, so this is what
have your vision. Have your vision.
My vision is to go into business. I want to resolve my theoretical debt, and then I want to spend some credits, lots of them, so we could create business.
Absolutely. And we'll return to that conversation for your specific situation, and we will develop from there, and we'll follow up with one another.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Okay. Amazing. Crowned in the right Commonwealth. Let's go to you.
Thank you, Paul Michael. I have a couple of questions in the chat. I probably just had them answered. Can we go further back than that 3-year tax cutoff period regarding the abandoned assets / property?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no, people go back 10 years. You as the creditor have no statutes of limitations. You can go as far back as you like.
And the other question was, in order to draft any of these bonds, must we be licensing, or is that EIN our license technically?
Licenses are for the state corporations that give you permission to be screwed over, basically. That's what a license is. I can't think of a single license where I am controlled, I am overtaxed, I am told what to do, and I have to follow a specific process that goes maybe even against my belief system. Oh, you ever been to nursing school? Oh, drugs like you wouldn't believe. There's full with drug addicts. And it was like, you got a pain in the back, pop a pill. Oh, you got a little fungus on your foot? Yeah, take that pill. You know what I mean? And the holistic market is, they do have some holistic stuff. I learned about ginger and honey, right? And maybe some tea. And maybe some cold compress and hot compress, right? But I have to abide. If I want the nursing license, I have to abide by their teaching and their process. So and as Patrick has exclaimed, we invoke the laws of the Republic for our rights, and we can operate in any way that we like, as long as it's not doing ill will against our neighbor.
Is that essentially your own constitution then, for your estate?
You can write your own constitution. I have a family constitution, for example, and I outline, here's this, here's that. Or you just adopt the actual constitution of your country or state, or do that. It's between you and God where the compass is.
Because there's so much confusion. For example, Australia, the corporate side of Australia, just like the United States corporation, is registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yep.
Yet we there's confusion about whether the de jure 1900 Constitution was ever valid at all, because none of us were ever signatories to it, and there are other factors to look at as well, doctrines that might even disclaim any of that Constitution's validity.
Right, right. A trust is very powerful, especially an irrevocable trust. It's almost impossible to break through. These trusts are what the Constitution is held within. And as long as you want to put yourself under the umbrella of that trust, you get all of its protections that come along with it.
Excellent. So just invoking, say, Article 4 of the Republican or the what is it, the Confederation. How would we be able to invoke that from the continental mainland known as Australia?
Well, you have constitutional laws in your country.
Yes, well, again, just like U.S. Republic versus U.S. Corps.
Okay. The first constitutional amendment I would invoke if I was in Australia, I'd choose one specifically, and that's the Smith and Wesson Constitution one. Which one's that one?
No idea.
No, not there, man. There's not one constitution. You can bear arms. Man, I would do that one first. I'm a bounty hunter. I'd be like, there's no bounty hunters in Australia, but there's got to be something, man. I don't know what you got.
I think under the Bill of Rights of 1688, a Protestant or a Protestant falls outside of the Roman civil clutches that are currently usurping. So they are technically able to bear arms. I would.
I love a good Protestant with a musket. There you go.
Thank you.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. All right. So let's go to Noel. Let's circle to you. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. Thanks for the email yesterday.
Yes,
back
absolutely.
To you. Hey, so the question I have is, so after my divorce, I had taxes. We had to split taxes. Fair amount, actually. So as I'm reading this, for taxes, do a 1099-C to cancel the debt they owe us on their books, then do a 1040 income tax owed to us. Are there other forms where I, like the 1041 where
1099-C, 1099-A, your 1040, your 1040V, you probably got a cover letter. Oh, excuse me.
Got it.
You have your receipts. Gotta have receipts. Yeah.
Well, this will be taxes owed. Back taxes. This is to the Treasury.
Yeah,
so
1099-C is what Patrick did. He was like, get out of here. What are you doing?
Okay, so this is
with that?
Once we get going, that I think I'll check if my e-check went through for the hiring. But the first thing we'll do is go do that.
Okay.
That's probably the highest thing on the list because that's actually money.
It is.
That's money that comes back, and it'll be a fair amount. And then we're going to turn it up because I'm gonna hire a lot more staff. I need a digital team.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to go on that journey with you. I just hired myself a new international HR administrator. Oh, I'm excited to introduce you to him, Noel, just because he's going to be
awesome.
Involved with that, with my department, or whatever. Master's degree. 14. I'm gonna pull up this guy's resume. It blew my mind. I was like, "What? Where's this guy's resume?" Anyways, I was telling myself I'll do resumes someday, and show some of the people what kind of talent we're hiring at Creditor Academy. If I have it, I'll show it real quick. But anyways, yes, I'm excited for that, and yeah, we will definitely get into that. And we have some heavy hitters, and really, as long as we have the attitude of hiring only the best of the best, Amazon has a standard where they only hire the top 51% in the entire world. And they have a very good scrutinizing way of doing a, screening of candidates. But yeah, let's do it, man. I'd be super excited about that.
I used to work for one of the top architectural firms in the world called Gensler.
Oh,
And
really?
Gensler is a flat structure, meaning what Arthur Gensler did in San Francisco is he said, I have to hire people smarter than me, because if I'm the smartest person in the room, then we're done for. So you have to hire people who can take direction, but also add, comments or add value to improve the process or to improve the situation, right? And I see that's exactly what you're doing. So, I am honored actually to be a part of this group and to be a part of this movement and to join you, because I was really impressed with your presentation. That was actually really cool.
Was that cool, man? I know.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring another person on who's on the she's a marketer. She's a salesperson for assisted living.
Oh,
and she was doing well in Hawaii, and then her daughter got sick. But they're doing better now, and she's in Vegas, and Vegas just passed a law that now you can make money off placing people in the different, places.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that she wants to expand her business, and I'm thinking she needs to come here. So
that's it. Welcome home. I love that. And you know what?
Yes, bring her here.
I'd be honored to do that, because the big thing is to go is to help out others, and that's how we're going to get our fulfillment out of this. And if this is an avenue with these private processes and international staff, and also with working with one another, I hope that we all find a home here at Creditor Academy to reach our fullest potential in our dreams. So thank you, Noel. I'm excited for that.
Thank you.
This is why I'm in this business, man, is to do work with individuals like you and expand connections. So that is exciting.
Thank you for the answer.
Hey, no problem. For everybody at YouTube, we thank you for joining us today, but we want you to be a part of the Creditor Academy family, and we want you to join us live in our classes. If you'd like to join us, first, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Second is you can join this class by emailing creditoracademy@gmail.com. And you'll get an auto response of all of our departments and services, plus the free Patrick Devine final process files as well. I look forward to seeing you all on YouTube live next week, Tuesday, as we continue on our processes. Until then, take care of yourselves and your families. Oh, it's also Happy Labor Day. I forgot about that. That's Monday.